Hello, my fellow individuals. I am Mr. Mini-Mask-Man here, and today I'm going to review Season 6, Episode 9 of Game of Thrones. Now, if you have not seen the episode, of course, please do not watch this video as it contains spoilers. Now, okay, what a freaking episode, right? This definitely makes up from the last episode, or hell, even the last two, but episode 9 of every season usually never disappoints, so god dude, this was such a good episode. Although predictable, I will say, it was definitely predictable for the most part, but it was still a good episode even with that. Now, for this review actually, I know I always say this on my videos where I say for these specific episodes where there's not much to talk about, so it won't be really a long video, but they always end up being long anyways. So, I mean, this episode was more focused on the action. So it's not like for me to try to describe every single scene in that action. It's, I want to say pointless, but it's not really something just to point out. So I'll just kind of paraphrase that part of the episode, the main part of the episode, and then just maybe analyze a little bit the others. And somewhat. But yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, I really like this episode a lot because it's pretty much, I mean, it got two things. Besides the Battle of the Bastards, we also got something, at least something good for quite a while now from the Daenerys arc. So yeah, pretty much every good thing, and then some interesting things too. But yeah, let me just start the episode breakdown, and we'll see how this goes. So the episode actually starts in Meereen, back where Daenerys, just arrived at the last episode, when the Masters started attacking Meereen with their freaking catapults of fireballs. So you see Daenerys and Tyrion is kind of like, a little, not really terrified, but just sort of like. A little, not a lot, but a little terrified of Daenerys. She looks at him like very seriously, almost angry. He's like, I know where you're thinking, but I try my best to it's like everything was going well. I just did not expect this to happen while you were away. So I took matters in my own hands and etc. So Daenerys surprisingly, he says, okay, what should we do? And he just kind of looks like, back in Tyrion's mind is like, oh, she still wants to follow my advice. She's not gonna kill me or anything like that. So he proposes to do something else to deal with this situation, where Daenerys, her usual response is just, kill, burn them all, burn their cities, stuff like that. Where Tyrion is like, yeah, let's not go that route again, because this reminds me of your dad, the Mad King. He did something similar. She's like, well, this is something different. It's like, and then Tyrion's like, yeah, well, burning down cities to the ground is still kind of the same thing what he did before, no matter what the situation was. So he's like, alright, so then what is your proposition? And Tyrion's like, okay, I have another alternative. We can do this. So you see the three masters talking with Daenerys, Tyrion, and then Grey Worm and Missandei there present. And they're basically telling her, okay, we'll stop if you surrender, just let us do our things, and you just basically just get out. But Daenerys is like, no, that's not gonna happen. Because, being Daenerys, she just, Daenerys being Daenerys, as always, so she just kind of like, nope, you guys are gonna surrender because, and then you see Drogon roar, screech, and you see him flying, so, more dragons, again, so more Drogon, and Drogon's got pretty big. He's getting big, so man, Drogon's freaking huge. And I don't think they're not even fully grown yet, the dragons, so I can just imagine, But yeah, so you see Drogon, you see Daenerys gets on Drogon, she starts flying. And the cool part of that is as she was flying, the other two dragons, I forgot the name, it was Rhaegal and god, I always forget one of the names. The third dragon, but you see those two actually come out of the pyramid thanks to Tyrion for releasing them earlier in the season, and that was like my favorite part of there, where the two other dragons joined in and they followed her. And then basically, she sees the boats, all the sail ships that's attacking the pyramid of Meereen, from the Masters, and she says her famous line Dracarys, which Drogon just starts torching those boats, those ships, and so did the other 2 dragons. They just start freaking torching all of them. And you know, the masters are just kind of afraid and shocked. So Daenerys, you know, basically I guess kicking ass in the scene with her dragons, of course, all 3 of them now, not just Drogon. Then you see back the map, Tyrion is like, well, okay, listen guys, we made a deal and you broke that pact, so Daenerys says one of you have to die, so which will it be? And 2 of the 3 Meisters pull out the guy that kept Tyrion almost like a slave back in season 5, I believe. And it was that guy because they said that he wasn't true high class. He was low, you know, he was a low class who went to high class. So, and the guy like Grey Worm steps up and he was on his knees like, please don't kill me. And Grey Worm, it was a pretty cool scene. He just basically got he just like pulled the knife, quickly slashed both of the other masters like that, and then they just both drop while the other guy was still on his knees. And then, you know, Tyrion basically tells him, tell your people what happened here of Daenerys and her dragons, if they ever think about pulling something like this again. And then, you know, he's just basically just trembling while they walk away, everybody walks away and all that. So I think basically now I at least now finally, oh yeah, and I forgot to mention there was another scene where the Sons of the Harpy were killing people in the ground. And then Dario and the Dothraki came, taking care of things in the ground in the city from the Sons of the Harpy. So, now, Daenerys, dragons, Dothraki, she's still got the Unsullied, and so forth. I think she's pretty much covered now, plus with Tyrion as her advisor, and so forth. So, finally, I think she's finally got things technically in control for now again. Maybe not in control, but at least put him in check, where there won't be no rebellion again from these guys. At least for either never, for quite a long time now. So, I'm finally, at least for me, I think, okay, finally, the whole Marine stuff, it's done. She has her Dothraki now. She has her big army. I think she's basically good on her army size for the most part. She got the Unsullied and the Dothraki. And obviously her 3 dragons and Tyrion as her advisor. And Grey Worm leading the Unsullied. So I think now finally all that's taken care of. The Marine arc done. You're good. So all that's left is the ships. And now that she actually has quite a few of them, just a few from the Masters that they abandoned, the ones that she didn't burn. So, and now I'm about to come back to that again for Daenerys scene because it comes up one more time in this episode. So after that, we see Ramsay and a few of his bannermen and you see Jon, Sansa, Tormund, Lyanna Mormont, and Ser Davos, you know, there, and they're having a meeting discussion what to do for this battle that's coming up. So basically just Ramsay and Jon just talking back and forth where Jon proposes, he's saying, hey, you know what, yeah, we shouldn't fight and sacrifice our men. Why don't we just do this old school, you know, just one-on-one? And, you know, Ramsay just kind of like says, you know what? And he kind of knows that he's not a good one-on-one fighter. You know, Ramsay's he's a torturer. We know that. He's a psychopath torturer. Like, even both physically and mentally. So, one-on-one fights I don't see. I think even in the books they described him, he was not a good fighter. He's just pure ruthless, like just attack and tack, but no strategy and so forth when it comes to fighting or good combat. So it's almost like he knew that and he didn't want to take his chance with Jon. So he basically told him, nah, I'd rather win because I know I have more guys than you. You know, you just have 62 men from the Mormonts and the Wildlings. That's basically all you have. So, you know, Ramsay wants to win. And then he wants Sansa back, you know, obviously. And, you know, Sansa just basically tells him, you know, just, not really in those words, but basically just go to hell. Nah, we'll battle you tomorrow morning. So get some shut-eye. And then she just rides off. And then, you know, Ramsay's threatening him with Rickon Stark, where Small John Umber, you know, to show proof, he throws Shaggy his dog. So, now it's official. There's some people theorizing that the that wasn't the real Shaggy Dog because it was too small a head. But sadly, it is. I'm afraid that is the real Shaggy Dog they killed. So it's now official that another direwolf is dead this season. So, which pretty much sucks. But yeah, now, so they ride off for the morning. So basically, prepare to fight in the morning. Now, the next scene that shows Jon discussing with Tormund and Sir Davos a strategy how to deal with the Boltons. And they had a pretty decent strategy, to go around and just kind of hit them from the sides. And so forth from the area, I think, from they familiarized, because I think Sir Davos remembered this from Stannis when he fought the Boltons. It was like around the same area. So they pretty much had a battle plan at the end, and Sansa, she kind of gets frustrated because nobody's asking her for any advice or help from this, and she's telling that she could help. She knows how Ramsay is. But Jon's like saying, well, I fought worse things, like fought White Walkers and other things. So he knows stuff about battle, and he's actually fought. And Sansa's like, I may not know battle tactics, but I know how he works. I know what he does. So, please take my advice, we'll get some more people. And Jon's like saying, we don't have time, we don't have any people. Do you know any other people? And, she doesn't say anything. And basically just gets frustrated, and she says, well, if we're gonna lose, I am not going back to him. I'd rather die than go back to Ramsay. And Jon promised her that he'll protect her and so forth. But she says, no one can protect me, no one can protect anyone. And she just leaves. After that heated argument with Jon. Now, I know, and I think I'll bring this back at the end. I want to mention this about why she didn't tell Jon about, her letter to Littlefinger the Vale. But, I'll bring that back later. So, and then you just get another small scene with Jon just telling Melisandre that, any advice, and she just tells him don't lose. Which, okay, good advice. But yeah, she basically tells her if he loses, don't bring him back. But she says that it's not up to her, it's up to the Lord of Light, that whole deal. And she says she doesn't know, she doesn't have the power as the Lord of Light, so she's just basically she's not technically following Jon's orders, but she follows him, but she's still her first follower the first person with God that she follows the Lord of Light. So it's like, it's not up to me, it's not up to your decision, it's up to, the Lord of Light. So whatever he tells me, I'll do it. Even if he told me not to bring it back, if the Lord of Light wants me to bring it back, I'll do it. And, that's pretty much what happened there. And then you see Sir Davos Tormund just kind of talking of what to do, like just before the battle, just have a drink or something. And Davos just says, well, usually I just kind of walk around, just shit myself or something. And Tormund just laughs and just leaves him be. Now, here, you see Sir Davos just walking around, and he sees like some logs or burnt logs where Shireen Baratheon got burned alive last season. Now he goes there and he finds the little wooden stag that he made her. And from that speculation, I think he just like 90% he knew that Shireen was burned alive, and the only ones that burns people alive is basically Melisandre's ideas. Even though it was Stannis' decision at the end, but Melisandre's the one that he knows that influenced him to do that stuff. So now, you see Sir Davos with a really sort of like, not anger, but you can kind of see it in his eyes. And then you hear the horn where, the battle's about to begin. So, then we're about to start the battle. But before that happens, the next scene actually goes back to Meereen. You see Tyrion talking to someone who says, who made fun of him in the past about his height and so forth, and you see it's Theon. So, when you see Theon and Yara Greyjoy there, so they finally arrived in Meereen, and they're talking to Tyrion and Daenerys. Now, Theon, is saying, like, that's in the past, and he just wants to forget about that they have another proposal. Just let things slide. And Tyrion is kind of like, yeah, well, I don't know, man. I'm obviously not learning those words, but Tyrion just kind of says, I've been through stuff. What have you been through? And, we all know what Theon's been through. So it's just kind of a little funny moment there. And you see Yara's just negotiating with Daenerys, and Daenerys like saying, so basically, you just want to rule the Iron Islands, but you don't want anything else. He's like, you don't want the throne or nothing. And they're basically saying, yeah. It's like saying, because he says so, and they chose this other guy, Euron Greyjoy. And she says, yeah, because, I'm a female. And she's like, well, there's no queen in the Iron Islands? Like, nope, not in Westeros. Just kind of give, giving a hint to Daenerys, and Daenerys just kind of smirks at Yara Greyjoy a bit. I was like, okay, I get you. But yeah, so then the whole discussion there, just between those two, was that, yeah, they were willing to give Daenerys their ships, which I think is around 100 they said that they had with them, to help them cross to Westeros. So that's the final piece that Daenerys needs. All she needs are the ships. She's got everything. All she needed is ships now, since they burned it earlier this season. So now they got the ships from the Greyjoys, plus a few that is left from the Masters that attacked early. And Tyrion just kind of says, yeah, those are, for the most part, that's sufficient ship. We might need a little bit more, but that's pretty much good enough for what you need to do. Now, Yara, warns them about Euron Greyjoy coming along, building, 500 to 1,000 ships, like he said. And he says he's gonna go to Daenerys and gonna marry her off, and probably once he gets what he wants, he'll probably kill her off and so forth. So he's already telling what Euron's gonna do, and Daenerys is kind of like, let's see him try. Now, so it's kind of interesting. So now I want to see how it plays out when Euron arrives. What is he gonna do? Is he just gonna forcefully? I'm curious. I'm actually curious in this scene where, well, basically what ends up, Daenerys will, Yara's just saying she's willing to make the deal for whatever Daenerys has to offer, as long as they have the Iron Islands for themselves. And Daenerys can have everything else, and they can still pledge allegiance to the Targaryens. In this case, Daenerys. Daenerys says, fine, that'll happen, but your ways of pillaging, raiding, raping, and so forth, that's gone. And Yara's kind of saying, well, that's kind of the Greyjoy life, but she's, Daenerys like, you can't do that anymore. That's the only condition for this agreement. And Yara's just kind of like, okay, I can go with that. And Daenerys like saying, I wouldn't have to, marry someone else for this deal, right? Like, no. And Yara's like, no, but I'm up for anything. And again, Daenerys just kind of smirks. So we kind of see another now new recently, and you see on social media and online now, the whole Daenerys and Yara Greyjoy sort of future relationship, maybe so. I was kind of hinting on that a little bit around that scene. She kind of looks like Tyrion before shaking the hand, look at Tyrion for approval, and Tyrion just kind of nods to say, go ahead and take that deal. So, they just kind of, take hands like this, and deal's done. Now, what I'm curious on this was, I don't know if they're first Euron's gonna arrive, seeing Daenerys in them, and have a conflict, or Daenerys is gonna leave, like immediately before even Euron arrives. So I'm not sure how that's gonna play out, and I'm gonna actually bring back, hopefully I remember by the end of this the video or the episode breakdown about Euron Greyjoy a bit later on. But anyways, that's what happens there. Now the rest of the episode just focus on back to the whole battle, the best part of this episode. So you see, Jon Snow and his men, and then you see on the far other side also Ramsay and the Umbers and the Karstarks. Now, you see Ramsay pull a rope, and it's Rickon Stark. And Jon, kind of sees it's him. You see Ramsay gets a small dagger or a knife. Jon gets off his horse to look closely, and, and here's what I mean about predictability, sort of, not really, but from this point on. You see, Ramsay looks like he's gonna stab him, but I already knew, it's like, no, he's just gonna cut the rope from Rickon's, hand that he tied up. And then, looks like he's gonna stab him, and then he just cuts it. Like, okay. Now, after that, and then, Jon was relieved. Ramsay tells him, okay, let's play a game, Rickon. Now, you see John, your brother over there, just run to him. That's all you gotta do, and you just run, and you get to see him. Simple as that. And then, he tells him to run, and Rickon just kind of looks confused as he walks away. He's like saying, Ramsey's like, yeah, you're supposed to run. And Rickon starts running while Ramsey gets his bow and arrows. And then, John sees what's happening, so he immediately gets on and starts riding towards Rickon. Now here, I had the same thought as almost the majority of people. That said, when Rickon was running towards John, the first rule, if there's a guy with bow and arrows and you're running, zigzag. You just gotta zigzag. That's like the best way you can do. The farther you go zigzagging, the more difficult the accuracy will be. Unless, this guy's freaking Legolas or something. But no, Rickon was just running straight. For the most part, just running straight. Now, I know we can't really... I know that's the most... Because this reminded me... that movie Mel Gibson made, Apocalypto? That's exactly what... When that started happening, I remember that scene where the Native American, or the Aztec, I think, was running zigzag while the other guys were getting killed because they were running straight. I'm like, Rickon, zigzag, damn it! But, obviously just that didn't happen. Whether it's because, Rickon's just not, smart enough on that, or because the writers just kind of wanted a way for Rickon, and which I'm about to explain right now. So basically, you see Ramsey shooting arrows, and he's missing, either purposely or whatnot. And then you see close enough where Rickon and John are getting close, and you see like the music getting intensified while the camera focuses on the tip of the arrow of Ramsey. And then as he let goes, the music gets louder, and you think, okay, this is where he's gonna get killed, or he's gonna get hit. And then you see the arrow, miss, and Rickon just run towards it. And then you see John and Rickon just getting super close, and then all of a sudden, boom, the arrow hits him right in the heart, I believe. So Ramsey shoots Rickon really close where John was about to get him. And then you see Rickon just laid there and just basically suffocates a little bit and dies. So, and you know what? I did forget to mention. Back then when John and Sansa were arguing, Sansa told John, basically Rickon he says, as much as she loves her brother, Rickon is dead because Ramsey, that's how Ramsey is, he's just gonna kill him. And John's kind of felt hurt, to say that you just kind of give up on your own family. But she's just facing reality. She says, this is Ramsey we're talking about. There's just no way he's gonna bring us back, him alive, to us. So, this was, and it happened. And again, we kind of, for the most part, we knew that Rickon was gonna be dead. At least, like I say, at least I'm happy, not happy that he's dead, but his death was just a quick arrow. He didn't get tortured. He didn't get, flayed in front of, John. He didn't get like a really terrible death. So at least it was a quick death. But yeah, so John, he looks at it. He looks at Ramsey. He gets very emotional, frustrated. He gets on his horse, and you see Tormund's like, no, don't do it. Meaning, Ramsey purposely, besides Ramsey just being who he is, he wanted John, to get emotionally invested and frustrated where John would just straight charge him. Which it ended up happening. So John just starts getting on his horse, just riding towards where Ramsey is and his army. So Tormund and the majority of the army, they have to follow John. So that completely ruins the strategy that they came up with earlier. So now everybody's just going just straight towards them. Which obviously is a trap, which is Ramsey, like Sansa told John, that Ramsey's the one that sets the traps. So it was a trap. And John fell for it, but at the same time, we can't blame John for saying, oh, John's irrational decision caused majority of his men to get killed. Where in Jon Snow, his character, he's really more emotionally invested in his family and his loved ones. So it makes sense why he would do this. And I know deep of us, like, us the viewers, when we see shows like this, we kind of we always think logically about these things. We're like, it's like, don't do that. You do this or that and that. But sometimes we're near a specific type of character. and you're put in those situations, you can just kind of see why it happens. And you can't really say nothing about it. It's just that's how the character is. You can't just switch the character. Like if John instead was just kind of just kind of sees Rickon and doesn't go towards them because he's still thinking his strategy, and he sees Rickon die anyways, and John didn't even try. It completely almost breaks John's character in a way. So it makes sense why John happened to do this. But anyway, that's again another thing. Now, so they just start charging straight, and then I guess I can maybe just kind of go snippets a little bit of this battle because I don't want to go detail the battle because I think this whole scene is better watched than just me describing it exactly. But this is like the freaking best part of the episode now. So, you know, after John and Ola, they just freaking clash. Horses started bump into each other, spears, swords. It gets chaotic as hell. And I love this episode, this battle, because besides the season 5 episode 8 of Hardhome, besides that battle, and Blackwater, I think, from season 2, episode 9, this one was very detailed on almost realistically of what happens during wars and battles, especially during that time with swords and shields and all that and arrows, because it shows almost like that really dark, depressing side of battle and wars, where it is almost action-packed as well, obviously, and we're rooting for John and so forth. But it almost has a little bit of that darker side of, wow, you know, he's kind of sit there, I'm like, geez, that's very... I mean, we already know, you know, for people in the military currently fighting for us, for this country and so forth, what they're going through. Maybe we not know exactly because we're not there, but we kind of get the idea. But this just kind of points out, like, in our face, like saying, even for the time period, this is kind of like, wow, this is very brutal. It's very almost realistic of what would happen in these battles. You know, you see the battles, you know, they're fighting, a bunch of bodies are piling up, you know, and all that, you know, more people getting killed. It's just a whole field of chaos. And I was just kind of like, wow, this, like, the way they shot the battle, I'd say was really well done. So I give props over the people that really shot all this cinematography, the choreography, and so forth, the CGI, everything. I was just kind of like, wow, well done on the whole battle. But anyways, yeah. So, I guess just kind of fast forward there in the battles. You gotta see John just kicking ass out there, and then you see Ramsay just killing more people through archers throwing arrows, and you see that Sir Davos from the back. He kind of assists. He gets the rest of the few people left, and he goes towards, you know, to help John fight. So everybody's there now from John's side. Now Ramsay says, okay, and this is the funny thing, Ramsay's actually not a bad strategist in battle. Usually I would have thought he would have been really irrational, but he pretty much got the strategy pretty well done on this fight, because now from here he sees, okay, they're all in the center, there's bodies everywhere piling up. So now it's time he sends his second, you know, the second half of his army, which is basically the majority of the Umbers and Karstarks here. And you see Small John Umber, you know, he leads them, and they basically do a whole Spartan thing, because you see all the soldiers coming around where John and everyone else is. They put up their bolts and shields, you know, it's almost like a whole shield fortress or wall, like it's going around like this, and the back here is just a bunch of bodies piling up. But so they basically blocked them, and then they have spears, and then they're just slowly closing in with the spears, you know, killing a bunch of wildlings and so forth as they're doing that. So they're coming like this, so it's forcing them to go to the back where the bodies are. But then that's where Small John and the other Umbers and Karstarks come and starts killing the people trying to escape or get out of there. So they basically just sealed them in that area and you see one, you know, trying to get rid of the people there, and even Tormund trying to kill some people to penetrate through that, but it was almost impossible. And here you can kind of see they're just getting massacred. They're getting tight where Tormund and the guys were trying to retreat, not retreat, but trying to get out of there. So everybody rushes to the back where they literally step all over Jon. And this is where I thought was pretty like wow, like really very good in the detail, where Jon was getting trampled on. More bodies are flying, and Jon Snow was freaking suffocating under there. He gets up, like barely breathing, and he sees like freaking squished. There was like no way out. He could barely move because they were getting trapped there, and more people were dying. And you see Tormund fighting with Small Jon, like fist fight and headbutts, and Small Jon was actually at the upper hand. So you kind of see Jon Snow he kind of sees like, you know, we can't do this. In his mind, at least in his eyes, you can just see like we can't win this. And you know, Ramsay very confidently just kind of grins. And then you hear, you know, a horn from the distance. And then you see the flag of House Aaron. And then the veil finally came. Again, this was another somewhat predictability. Because for most of us, there's a lot of people that predicted, you know, Rickon will die. He did. And we kind of thought, most people thought, okay, basically Jon and Ramsay are going to fight. Ramsay's going to have the upper hand, but at the very last minute, Littlefinger and the Veil, thanks to Sansa, they come and rescue them at the last minute. Which that's exactly what happened. So even though I knew that would happen, I still got excited. I still cheered on. It's like good, you know. And they came in and they start penetrating the blockade, and they, you know, that left Jon and everybody else. And you see Tormund actually freaking bit off the neck of Small Jon, and he grabs one of his bones, just starts stabbing Small Jon right around the neck area or the face, and then he basically kills Small Jon. And then Jon Snow, Tormund, and One, who's pretty much injured, he had like a bunch of spears and arrows around him. They get out of there, and you see Sansa just staring down at Ramsay from a distance. And you see Ramsay just kind of looks pissed. And he kind of knew, like, well, damn, you know, I did not expect this. So you see Jon, Tormund, and One looking at Ramsay and a few of his men, and they were actually right back to Winterfell, and they just start going after him. They start chasing him. So Ramsay goes back to Winterfell, he closes the gate, he gets his leftover men there, you know, to start, you know, blockading, or not blockading, but, you know, close the gate and go extremely defensive. But One freaking breaks that door, and I was like, yes. And then you see One collapse, and I'm like, oh, well, I'm like, shit, you know. I'm like, oh crap, he's gonna die, isn't he? And then you see the other men get inside Winterfell, start killing everybody in there, and One's getting more arrows, and Jon Snow comes in. And then you see One just doesn't have it in him anymore. You see him all bloody, with arrows, collapse, you know, on his knees. He's like breathing, like he's dying. And then, you know, Jon will, you know, put his arm to kind of say, you know, hey, and he gets freaking shot in the eye, One, with the arrow. And I'm like, damn it, you know, I'm like, no, One. So, her other giant this season died. And the one that shot the arrow, of course, was Ramsay, because why not? So, Ramsay now, he obviously knows he's lost, because all of his men were killed in there, so it's just him left at Winterfell. And he just kind of looks around, like saying, you know what, Jon? Let's have that one-on-one fight after all. So, here, you see Jon. Like, Ramsay gets his bow and arrow ready, and Jon just grabs one of the Mormont shields, and Ramsay just starts shooting one arrow, he blocks it, Captain America style, and then he shoots an arrow again, blocks it, he shoots the third arrow, he blocks it, and Ramsay is just kind of like, oh shoot, you know, he's getting closer, he's about to grab his fourth arrow, but Jon freaking hits him with the shield, and then he just starts beating the hell out of Ramsay, very satisfying punches, a very good, satisfying beatdown. Until, you know, when Sansa came and Jon looked at her while freaking Ramsay was like all freaking beaten to death on his face, you know, Jon just stops, and you see, you know, he just kind of leaves Ramsay there. And basically, they took down the Bolton banners, and boom, we see the Stark banners once again at Winterfell. And you see kind of Melisandre just smiling, and you see Sir Davos getting Winterfell. He still has that wooden stag that he made for Shireen, and he looks at Melisandre very angrily, which, you know, something's gonna lead up to that now. So I'm like, that's interesting. Like, okay, now we're gonna see some conflict there later on. I assume the season finale. But anyways, yeah. So now you see Sansa talking to Jon. Jon like saying, you know, where's Ramsay? And basically you see Ramsay kind of all bloodied out, beaten, maybe tortured a little bit, and on a chair. And you kind of see Sansa and Ramsay just talking, where Ramsay just says, you know, you can't kill me, you know, I'm basically saying I'm part of you now. And Sansa's like saying, nope, your name will be forgotten, your house will be forgotten, everything will be forgotten about you. And he says, and this will be your end. And then you hear the hounds growling. Ramsay's own hounds growling in the cage with him. And Ramsay's like saying, my dogs are loyal, my hounds are loyal, they won't harm me. And he's like, well, you said it yourself, you haven't fed them for 7 days. So, a hungry dog is a hungry dog. Which reminds me of the whole Heath Ledger thing about dogs and loyalty when it comes to their hunger. But anyways, yeah, the whole Joker thing from The Dark Knight. But anyways, yeah. So then you see the dogs just kind of sniffing and licking his face, and Ramsay's like, sit down. And then freaking chomps Ramsay's face, and he starts screaming. Like the hounds just started chomping on him, while Sansa just kind of staring at first. And then she just kind of walks away. You hear more of freaking Ramsay screaming. And then you see Sansa just kind of grins. And then, you know, end of the episode, I'm like, that was actually, for me, that was a pretty satisfying death. I was, you know, getting killed by his own dogs. So, I mean, I know we want to see more like him getting tortured and stuff like that for exactly what he did to everybody else, but I'm good with this. It wasn't a quick death, you know, like a beheading or a hanging or stuff like that, but anyways, that was basically the whole episode. Now, yes, I really liked this episode because it was very well done when it came to those action scenes in the battle. Specifically, I'm talking about the battle here. Now, man, there's just a few things to wrap this up now. The things that I read, people are saying, why didn't Sansa tell Jon about her talking to Peter Baelish and the whole having the veil to back him up? It says people are saying, well, if she would have told Jon about the veil in the beginning, they wouldn't have that many people dying. They would have had a big army, basically had a better strategy, waited maybe another day or two, and taken care of the Boltons and possibly even saving Rickon. Now, I would say in a way I would agree with that, but I mean, I know if it was that, okay, from a writer's, I guess from the producers and all that, if they would have done it that way, then it would have not been as enjoyable, because basically, you know, the good guys had, well, I know this is Game of Thrones, we want the good guys to win for once, which finally they did this episode, but it would have been like a not as climactic battle, since they would have the upper hand easily and just freaking took him down. But I don't know, there is some debate about that, where people like saying, well, if Sansa would have told him and all that, that would have changed things, and you know, probably Ramsay would have been very defensive and killed Rickon immediately, maybe, and he probably would have done something else or burned Winterfell to the ground. I don't know. But in a way, but as some people were saying, Sansa kind of used Jon as bait. And, you know, at the last minute, she came with the veil to kind of throw Ramsay off. And then there's some others who are saying Sansa just didn't know that the veil would accept her offer. Or maybe she didn't know that the veil would come at that time. She didn't receive the answer from the veil or Littlefinger. So she didn't want to tell Jon first without knowing that they were 100% on their side. Which I assume they are, because, you know, Littlefinger will say, I'll definitely help you. And even Robin Aaron. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know, that's just some other thing out there, so I won't get too much into that. But, I don't know, like, this scene, yeah, like I said, there was definitely predictable moments, but it was still so satisfying. So now that Joffrey's dead, and Ramsay, the two little main human villains in the show series. People are wondering, so we got season 7 and 8 left, and there won't be that many episodes from what we heard. So who's going to be the last? Well, okay, I would say the last great villain would be the Night King from the White Walkers, obviously. But there's some people saying there's probably going to be one more great human villain, and when I'm bringing this back to Euron Greyjoy. Now, I don't know, because there is reduced episodes and only 2 seasons left, I don't know if Euron Greyjoy will be as big as he is in the books. Because in the books, apparently Euron Greyjoy is way worse. Even the little snippet chapters from the Winds of Winter in the 6th book, there's really terrible things from what I heard from people, the book readers, or the little wiki info of the books. That Euron Greyjoy is not a good dude. So he's done pretty, really terrible things. Maybe as equally as bad as Ramsay or even worse. Now in the show, I don't know if they're gonna up the ante. Joffrey was here and then Ramsay was up here. So I don't know if they can top Ramsay. I don't know. Or they're gonna probably not really develop Euron Greyjoy that much. And he's just gonna get killed off easily, in which I'll be disappointed, to be honest. But I don't know. So I know the Euron Greyjoy, I think, he'll be on a final, one last conflict they have to deal with. But I don't think he's gonna top Ramsay, to be honest. Not in the show, at least. In the books, maybe, yeah. But the show, I don't know. But we will definitely see a lot more Euron, probably season 7, and how that's gonna happen between him and Daenerys and Theon and Yara Greyjoy. So I don't know. We will see it, but he does have something interesting from the books, which I don't know if they're going to actually have that or they're completely scrapped it off. He has a certain interesting item that could help him with controlling dragons. Hintity hint hint. Now, if he has it, and he has another specific armor that is pretty much needed against White Walkers' defenses. Yeah, so Euron has pretty important stuff that he has. So I don't know if in the show they'll really get into depth with those 2 things, or they're just gonna scrap him out, making just some minor baddie that they just want to shove in the show to fill in some time. I don't know, but yeah. Now, so from what I'm seeing, okay, this episode, yeah. Finally, they got Winterfell back. Yes, Boltons are off the game. Done. Ramsay, done. Daenerys and Meereen, that whole situation with the Sons of the Harpy and so forth, done. Greyjoy, Alliance, now you got ships, done. You can go to Westeros now from what... So, pretty much everything's pretty much covered. Now, the only thing that has me worried now is Littlefinger. Sansa got his help. I know Littlefinger wants something in return, and I'm kind of worried about that in the season finale. So I don't know what Littlefinger has planned, because that guy's freaking... I know his agenda, or at least we assume his agenda is the Iron Throne, but just the way he gets it is what is his next move? I don't know. So that's the only thing I'm worried about. That is just between Littlefinger. I said the only main antagonist left we got is Euron Greyjoy, Littlefinger. I think if you want to count Cersei or the High Sparrow, the whole King's Landing thing is a separate thing now, so it's kind of And then of course the main ones are the Night King and the White Walkers. So yeah, this season finale, I saw the promos and it's gonna be. I hope this one goes out with a bang, because usually, not always, but most of the time, episode 10, especially from the first 3 seasons, episode 10, the season finale was always kind of, it was okay. But it wasn't something great, like episode 9, or sometimes 8 for each season. But I assume this season will go out with a bang. Literally, if you get what I mean, between Cersei and, I don't know, Wildfire, I don't know. But I can't wait for the season finale, and at the same time I want to wait, because after season finale, another whole year until the next season. That's the only bad thing about the Game of Thrones, is that we have to wait after 10 episodes another whole year Now the worst part is from season 7 and 8 we have to wait. Now we can only watch 7 or 8 episodes now, shorter episodes, and still wait a year. So, man, but I don't know. This episode I thought great, just amazing, great episode. I liked it. Like I said, even with the predictabilities and some things that could have done better, but I was still satisfied. I was good. Great episode overall. And I think I'm just gonna wrap it up with that because I already spoken way too long again. I gotta shorten this thing somehow with my ranting, but it's a review, so I don't know when it comes to reviews. There's not really a time limit or not. You know, compared to reaction videos where that tends to be shorter. You know, you give your sights, you watch your video, react to it, and then you give a little bit of a small review or insight of that, and then it's done. Where reviews, you can be as much detail as possible, which is what I'm doing. So yeah, hopefully I can do these things shorter in the far future, not this long anymore as always. Like I started from the 20 minutes to the 30 minutes, and I'm at the 40-minute length. So, oh god. But yeah, anyways, that's pretty much it. Good episode, loved it. Can't wait for season finale, and hopefully let this show go out with a bang, or this season, I mean, let it go out with a bang. So anyways, thank you guys for watching, and if you like this video, you know what to do. So you guys have a nice day.